Share my screen. Here we go. Hang on. I need to make that large. Hang on, I might need to stop sharing. Oh God, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me just stop sharing that. Oh my God, it's hard work. Right, let me make it big and then go away. Go away. One day I will master technology. We are not there yet. Right, large. Right now, I'll go back in to you. Share this one. Yes, share. Right, we're on. Right, can everybody see that? Okay, I'm going to guess so, yes. Right, so what I want to talk to you guys about tonight is how to navigate the weekends and setting yourselves up for success. But I also want you guys to really get an understanding of how the fat loss piece, the tracking the calories, how it really works on like a bigger level. So it's not going to be a super long one tonight, but it is important. So fat loss is a mathematical equation, and when you can really get your head around it and get to grips with it, then it makes the entire process so much easier. I think Mandy's just joining us. We'll give her a second to come in. But oh, I'm just going to mute you, man. Sorry. Oh, I don't know how to mute you. Can you mute yourself, Mand? I've got no idea what I'm doing. Right. Oh God, we're going wild here. No, back. Yeah, there we go. Right. So it's a mathematical equation. 3,500 calories, as in a minus 3,500 calories, is roughly equal to losing 1 pound of fat. So that would be a 500 calorie deficit every day, 7 days on the trot in order to be. Sorry, I'm going to mute you guys. Yeah, there you go. So that would be equal to losing 1 pound of fat a week. To gain 1 pound of fat a week, you would have to eat in a surplus, so above maintenance. So let's just, for the sake of this, I'm just going to assume that everybody's maintenance is 2,000. Now, that's not actually the case, but I'm just going to use that. It's a nice round number and it just makes life a lot easier. But in order for you to put on a pound of fat, you would have to be 3,500 calories above maintenance. Now, that might not be in a week, naturally, that might have been over a long period of time, but that is the rough mass that goes into this. So the terminology, a lot of you probably know this by now, but maintenance is breaking even. You're not putting on any fat, you're not losing any fat, you are just eating at maintenance and everything stays the same. A surplus is when you're eating in a surplus, so you're over your maintenance, and that's where you are going to be putting fat on. Whereas a deficit or a cut, that's where we're going to be dropping the body fat. So that's kind of a bit of terminology. So let's just start with an ideal world. I'm just going to move you on my screen. An ideal world where I have set you a 500 calorie drop every single day and you stick to it religiously 7 days a week. Now, there are going to be weeks where this is possible. And when it is possible, it's a great idea to commit to it. But then there are going to be weeks where this feels a lot less possible. But again, this is where tracking and not missing anything is vital. Because if you think you've stuck to this and the scales are reading something different, then most likely something is kind of falling down somewhere. But you can see on this chart, Monday through Sunday, 500 calories in a deficit, 3,500 calories, you would be aiming to lose that pound of fat. But let's say you start sliding up at the weekends, or something happens and you start increasing those calories. What I want you to understand is a deficit is still a deficit. So let's say Monday through Thursday and then Sunday, you are still in that 500 calorie deficit. So we are still in that total calorie deficit of 2,500 across those days. But let's say Friday and Saturday, you come back up to maintenance. That's not a surplus. you haven't gone over your calories and you are still in a deficit across that week on a whole. So we don't, although we have to break them up by day because we live a 24-hour life, that's the way the human time scale works. We can't do anything about that. But start thinking about your calories as a weekly allowance. And it might well be that you have some plans on a Friday and a Saturday, or actually you want to come out of your deficit. Now you are still in a deficit across an example of this sort of week. It just might mean that on 2 of those days you come out of the deficit and your fat loss results will be a little bit slower. But if you're absolutely okay with that, then that is an option for you to be able to do that. You need to still track on those weekend days, so Friday, Saturday, because what it's really easy to do is to assume, and actually your assumptions are out of the window. So we still want to track, but in this scenario, you are still in a deficit. The scales would still drop, but it might only be about like 0.6 of a pound, give or take a little bit. Now we've got the example of what often tends to happen when people do not track at all. And they think, yeah, you know what? I've got plans on a Friday night and I've got plans on a Saturday night, but I'm not going to track. I'm just going to wing it. So now, as you can see, Monday through Thursday, you are in your deficit. And then let's say, I don't know, it's your anniversary, it's a birthday, or you might be going to a festival or a concert or some life event that is happening. And by the way, I'm not saying that it shouldn't ever be like this, but there are definitely people who undo all of their hard work throughout the week, every single weekend, pretty much. And this is what we have to start getting on top of. So we've got this example of Monday through Thursday, you are in a 500 calorie deficit. So that's 2,000 across the week. But then you go out for some drinks, you go out for a meal. All of this is really difficult to track. You don't keep on top of it. And then suddenly on a Friday, Saturday, you've gone into 3,000 calories. So you've gone over maintenance into that surplus bracket. Sunday, you're hanging out of your arse, you go to McDonald's, you go and get a McMuffin breakfast, you go and get a milkshake to slosh it all down, and then hey presto, Sunday, you're still back in that surplus. So by going over on a total calorie allowance by 2,500 on that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, your deficit has now become an overall surplus of 500 calories across that week. And you think that you should be dropping body fat when actually you didn't track, you thought you were within your allowance, and the scales will reflect this. Now, even if you come back up to maintenance, they're likely to reflect this, which is why I would always recommend taking your daily scale weight, because then you can actually see for yourself. I had a client literally do it to me last week. She said her weight had gone up and she was messaging me Sunday morning. The weight had gone up and it had gone up by about a kilo. And I asked all of the right questions, what happened, this, that, and the other. And she was saying nothing. So I've actually put her on a really high intensive, like I'm tracking the shit out of everything every single day, full accountability, photos of food, photos of the weighing scales, everything. Shock horror, this week that has not happened. The weighing scales are on a downward trajectory and the right thing is happening with that extra accountability. But you guys can do that. And the accountability piece, even if you've got extra plans, even if you are doing something else, even if you hit the fuck it button because you are feeling so stressed or something happens in your life, like genuinely, if you track, at least we know where you're at. At least we can go, well, actually, you didn't end up in a deficit across the week. So that's why we are where we are. But I often see people again on a Friday, Saturday, zero tracking altogether. And I often see people on a Friday, Saturday where they track maybe 900 calories. And I'm like, no, that didn't happen, did it? Like, you did not just consume 900 calories at the weekend. Like, it's just not realistic. So that's when I know. That's what I'm looking for in your guys' weekly check-ins. I am looking to track the data and the evidence to see what is actually going on and to see what spikes I can see across the week or the inconsistencies. And this is the way to caveat that. Think about your calories as a weekly allowance. track fucking everything, good or bad. And I know when you're in a bad mindset, the last thing you probably want to do is track. But the other thing is just own your shit. In those check-ins, if you say, yeah, you know what, I hit the fuck it button, that's something we can work on. If you don't tell me and you're trying to say you're still in a deficit, then that's where we start to look at calling bullshit on that and going, no, there is more to the picture here. Like I say, it is a mathematical equation and it's really difficult to trick. It just doesn't work. It doesn't, the scales don't lie. So my advice to planning around events, if you know they're coming, is you can consider reducing your calories on the days where you can control them. So let's take again the example of somebody that might have plans on a Friday and a Saturday night. You might think, right, okay, instead of being in a 500 calorie deficit, I'm actually going to go into a 600 calorie deficit. And across that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, I'm going to buy myself back an additional 500 calories and I'm going to spread those out evenly. I'm happy to come back up to maintenance because I'm not going to put on body fat doing that, but I've got an event. I want to be able to enjoy myself. So what I'm going to do is come back up to maintenance. Plus, I'm going to use that extra 500 calories that I've gained throughout the whole week and I'm going to split them 250 on a Friday and a Saturday. And that is how you can maneuver your calories around. Like you'll have often heard it when people say, I'm going out for dinner tonight, so I'm going to starve myself all day. It's a similar principle, but that's quite unrealistic. So actually, if you allow it as a whole calorie banking throughout the week, and this is where piss poor planning leads to piss poor performance. Whereas actually, if you think ahead, right, I've got this event coming up. Can I be a little bit more stringent throughout the week? Can I stick to that? Yes. Right, okay, so I'm just going to push a little bit harder throughout the week. I'm probably not going to notice that's just one less snack in a day extra, and then I'm going to enjoy myself a little bit more on Friday and Saturday, but I'm still going to be planned. I'm still going to be civilized. I'm still going to think this through and not just go, fuck it. I'm just going to get absolutely battered. I'm going to get a takeaway. I'm going to get a kebab with all of the sauce on. You still got to be a little bit in the zone, but you can allow yourself that extra allowance throughout that entire week. So with this scenario, your deficit across the week would still be 3,000 calories, which would still mean just under a pound of fat loss. So you can still hit your goals and still have events and different things within your schedule. That's absolutely fine. But this is also why it's vital to get out of that sedentary bracket. So with your steps, with your training, this is why we want to get out of that, because it's really hard if you're sedentary. Your daily allowance is probably not 2,000 calories. And therefore, for you to be in that 1 pound of fat loss a week, your calories might be already down at like 1,200, 1,300. So you can't really play with them in the same way that you could for somebody that's got higher calorie allowance. So this is where, again, those steps are an uncompromisable. That's where your workout sessions, you're moving yourself out of the sedentary bracket so you can allow yourself a little bit more wiggle room if you've got social events coming up. Holidays and how to navigate them. I hear this all the time. Just fucking enjoy your holiday, guys. Like, for Christ's sake. Like, there's nothing worse. Why the fuck would anybody want to diet and track calories on a holiday? Just go and enjoy yourselves. Like 2-3 weeks, whatever holiday you guys take throughout the year, you've got to think of the bigger picture. 52 weeks in a year, the bits we do in those few weeks are not going to add up to the overall picture. It's the things that you do on the most of the time that are actually going to add up to the results that you want. So enjoy the damn holiday. Try and keep your steps up. If you are going on a holiday, that's a really good one. Go out exploring, get your steps up. I'm going to Amsterdam on Sunday, get back Thursday. Am I going to track? Am I going to, and I'm in a diet phase too. Am I? Fuck, I'm just going to have a nice time. Now, I'm still going to be sensible and I'm going to prioritize my protein. That's the uncompromisable that I will do, that I genuinely recommend you do. Think about your protein for breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, but just enjoy it and get those steps in. So, does anybody have any questions on that? If you do, by all means, please do unmute yourselves.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Um, so a lot of places don't show like calories or macros. So do we just estimate as best as we can? Because that's kind of my struggle right now with trying to keep track of everything.
That's a really good question. So it's worthwhile considering, and it's not always easy. But if you're the one that's in control of where you get to go and eat, so let's say it's a date night or something where actually you and your partner can make that decision, it might be worth considering going somewhere where you could actually, like, where they tell you the calories, where they say that's 800 calories. So for like Miller and Carter's, for instance, that's obviously, I think that's a chain across the country. It might just be near me, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a big enough chain. Even, I'm not suggesting this way you want to go, but Weatherspoons, they've all got the calorie allowance on their menus. Like, there are a lot of places where you can eat, where you can actually track it, but it might just have to be a bit of a guesstimation. My advice would be, if you're going to eat out, is again, try and see if you can drop your calories throughout the rest of the week to allow, so at least you might be somewhat in allowance of that. Consider if you can share a starter and a dessert. So rather than having a full one to yourself, you can split it with somebody else if that's an option. And definitely try and think about your protein in that dish. So try and think about, right, okay, what can I choose on this menu that I know I'm going to get my protein in? So your chickens, your fish, like it, whether you're vegan, like thinking about, right, where's my protein coming from on this dish? I would also recommend potentially having something small before you go out as well. Again, if you really want to hit the fat loss piece, consider what you could eat as a small meal before you go, so that it stops you going wild on that menu when you eat out. That could be another little tip that you could do. And then things like salad dressings, things like that, ask for anything like that to actually be put on the side so that you can control the level of fats that are going onto your plate. Because things like salad dressings, people opt for a salad, not realizing that it could be enormous calories because of those add-on dressings that you're getting. So I would definitely say try and pick something with vegetables, but again, just allow for the fact the vegetables are usually a lot tastier when you eat out at restaurants because they're cooked in a lot of butters and different things like that. But definitely your protein, your carbs, and your fats. I've been sharing that healthy plate as often as I can so people can see it. Just have a look at the menu and consider. But again, it also comes down to, sorry, my dog's going wild with a cardboard box in the background, but do you know what I mean? Let's say you were celebrating, and I'm just again using an example here, but let's say you're celebrating a 30th birthday or a big anniversary or something like that. Like, just fucking enjoy it. But if this is a weekly occurrence, that's when you might need to start to consider, do we need to eat out all the time? Could we actually rein that back in a little bit, rather than a bit the same as takeaways, rather than having it once a week, start to stretch the gap a little bit more. Or consider, like I say, finding restaurants where actually they do have the calories on the plate, or trying to drop your calories throughout the week. So you might be able to buy a little bit back. But the challenge is we can only manage what is measured. If it's not measured and it's really frequent behavior, then it massively could be impeding those results. So I don't know if that helps or not. Does it help?
No, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all, Carissa. Does anybody else have any other questions? No, you're all good. Vicky, Mand, I think you've no idea. Right, fabulous. Well, I will love you all and leave you all. That was a nice, quick 20-minute, but well done for showing up. And I will see you all on the next one. The next one's going to be about menstrual cycles, menopause, all of the bits to do with the woman's body. So yeah, I think we're going to do that one next week. So watch out for that one, guys. But enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the sun. And yeah, I'll catch you all later. Bye bye.